All right, so since we have not talked about Sean P. Diddy Combs, Diddy, in a minute, his sentencing is on the way. The date for his sentencing is set. What I want you to do is leave in the comment section if you think Diddy deserves to get lots of years in prison or it's time to let that man go. I'm looking at Diddy's case, and then I'm looking at the YNW Melly case with YNW Bortland. And over there, I'm looking at double murder. I'm looking at a cover-up. I'm looking at the cold, callous way in which two people got executed. And look at the sweet deal that they gave to Bortland. So, back over to the Diddy case. Is it time to just let this man go? Leave that comment in the comment section below. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. It's BrainFLoTv. If you've never been here before, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button also, so you are notified every time a new video goes up on this channel. So the sex trafficking trial of Sean P. Diddy Combs may be over, but there's still more business that needs to be handled within the courtroom. Y'all got to remember, Diddy beat the R.I.C.O charges. He was found not guilty of sex trafficking. He was found not guilty of money laundering, racketeering, all the charges that could have gotten him up to life in prison. He was going to do a minimum of 30 years. He got away with all that. Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. And now the only charge they have on the table is transportation to engage in prostitution. That means you taking somebody to go buy some sex. It didn't say you bought the sex. It didn't say you engaged in the sexual activity. It says you took somebody to go buy some sex, which means somebody was with you and y'all went, but you're the one that's responsible for the transportation. Now, as it stands, the 58-year-old hip-hop mogul, businessman mogul, he's waiting to be sentenced. Now, with that hearing that is set to take place October 3rd, October 3rd is supposed to be his sentencing day. We're pushing closer to it. We're almost halfway through September, which means in about 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks and a few days, Diddy will know how long he has left in lockup, if he's going to do any time at all, or if that'll be the day the judge will say, time served, go home. Diddy's legal team, though, in the meantime, have continued to work on his behalf, and they're back and forth with the courts. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. So it would now appear that the attorneys are going to return to court just ahead of the sentencing hearing. And it would appear that this situation has to do with Diddy's lawyers attempting to have him released again. They've never stopped trying. Diddy has applied for bail multiple times. He has been rejected every single time. And I think now will be no different. I just feel like this Judge Subramanian, he has a bone to pick with Sean P. Diddy Combs. And it goes even deeper than that. I think he has a bone to pick with anybody that is black and successful because of his, Judge Subramanian's, background. The community he comes from, they are very, very racist against African Americans, especially African Americans. Now, I'm not saying that he is guaranteed to be like that because I don't know him, but he comes from that community where that sentiment is super strong. There are documentaries out there that tell you, you can watch them talk, and they will tell you how they feel about black people, especially African Americans. I won't get into all the details of how they actually really feel, but you can guess. So I think this plays a great part. And also, he is the first judge to ever been selected to the position that he is in now. And he comes from being the understudy or the assistant to a super conservative right-winged judge. That's who elevated him to where he is at now. So I feel like he thinks he needs to pay homage, and he's going to use Sean P. Diddy Combs in that way. Now, a new court hearing has officially been set by Judge Arun Subramanian, who presided over the Sean John founder's sex trafficking trial earlier this summer. Again, I look at the YNW Melly case. YNW Bortland, who just got that sweet deal that he just got, 16 years. 10 of those years is what he'll have to serve behind bars, minus 4 of those already gone. Time served, he will only have to do 6. The state wants 85% of that 6. He'll do about 3.5 to 4 years. He'll be home. This is a double murder, execution. Not only that, the rest of the 16, he'll serve the other 6 on probation. So back to Diddy's case. What is so hard pressed that this man could not have been released on bail? Bortland was granted bail multiple times throughout this trial, violated those bail conditions and got sent back, and then got bail again and violated those bail conditions and then got sent back to lockup again. And this is in a double murder case. So when you look at that and then you look at Diddy's case, you're like, transportation to engage in prostitution? Somebody is about to go buy some sex. How many years are you going to sentence this person for? How serious is this person? He has beaten all the other charges in a court of law with a jury of 12. So, according to ABC News, Diddy's lawyers will be present at the hearing to argue for his acquittal on the 2 transportation to engage in prostitution charges that he was found guilty of under the Mann Act. Oh, they're not even going for bail. They're going for an acquittal. The hearing is set to take place in Manhattan, and it will occur September 25th. His lawyers will be back in court September 25th, which is the week before he will be sentenced, because the week after that will be October 3rd. Now, this latest hearing, this was initiated due to a motion that was filed by Sean Combs' attorney, with which they requested that the judge either toss out all his convictions or present him with a completely new trial. That's brave. That's brave, considering the fact that Diddy could have gotten a life sentence, minimum of 30 years in. You want to go test this again and ask for a new trial? Whew, I don't know. I would not have advised that. But he has some very powerful attorneys who are super smart. They are the best in the country at what they do. So they must know more than I do. Now, on the other side of that equation, prosecutors are arguing that neither an acquittal or a new trial would be fitting in this particular situation. In the prosecution eyes, the judge's ruling was supported by more than sufficient evidence. Did he receive a mixed verdict in July, right? Which saw him not only convicted of the prostitution-related charges, but he was acquitted of the racketeering, of the sex trafficking charges, which, if he was acquitted of the sex trafficking charges, meaning he did not sex traffic Cassie and he did not sex traffic Jane, which was 50 Cent's baby moms, wouldn't that mean that they were complicit? So he should have co-defendants in his case. Cassie should be charged. and so should Jane. So now we see that they actually testified on behalf of the prosecution to save themselves. Anyways, as legal analysts have since noted, the two latter charges were considered the most severe ones, the sex trafficking, and the working performer was facing. So the verdict came down after 2 weeks of testimony shared by individuals summoned by prosecutors. Also, Diddy's legal team switched strategies, and ultimately the defense rested after only 20 minutes. Much has been said about how the legal proceedings actually played out, with some journalists discussing what it was like being present in the courtroom. All the while, one of Diddy's top lawyers, Mark Agnifilo, has weighed in on whether he thought the trial was fair or not. So while sharing his take on that, Agnifilo spoke that the case, it wasn't perfect, but that Judge Subramanian did an outstanding job and is being thoughtful, is being careful, and is giving a lot of time to the parties. I don't think so. I think this judge right here, he did everything in his power to help the prosecution to win this case. And the prosecution still lost the case in the eyes of the jury of 12. I think Diddy's attorney has to say good things about the judge because they're still in his courtroom, they're still under his jurisdiction, and they still need favors from him, favors that it seems like he will never grant them. But you know, the elders have a saying, right? When your hand is in the mouth of the crocodile, you got to take your time and sneak that hand out. So since the trial ended, Diddy's lawyers have made multiple attempts to get him out on bail, with one attempt involving a renewed deal offer of $50 million cash up front. The legal team has also argued that home confinement would be a potential option for Sean P. Diddy Combs. As for whether the star attorneys will make similar arguments during the newly set hearing, that remains to be seen. At this time, though, Diddy remains incarcerated at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, New York. Diddy went again after he was found not guilty of the sex trafficking, not guilty of the racketeering, and the judge still said no to bail. This is, you know what's cold about this? This is a verified story that as they were going back into the courtroom to hear the judge's response to them requesting Diddy get bail after he had beaten all the RICO charges, there was a man in the courtroom who suffers from seizures. And one of his seizures kicked in and he started shaking violently. He fell out of the chair he was sitting in, the bench. He hit the floor. His head hit the floor really hard. People that were there described it as a big, loud conk sound. And he started flapping around on the floor like a fish that jumped out of the tank. Eyes rolling back, mouth foaming heavily. And it was Diddy's lawyers and a member of Diddy's family that got down on the floor and got this man stabilized until medical professionals got there. And then they got up and they got it back together and sat before the judge, and the judge looked at them and said, no bail. Rejected. This is after they offered another $50 million cash up front for this man to go home on home confinement until his sentencing. Send him home, judge. Send him home with an ankle monitor. Send him home and put security on the house if you have to. We will pay for the security bills. Make it so that the security personnel are ex-law enforcement or law enforcement officials, and that they are restricted from having any kind of relations speaking to Mr. Combs. That way, you'll know right where he's at, and there's no way he can compromise the security. The judge said, no, F that. Stay right where you're at. I just feel like they're trying to squeeze every bit of time out of him that they can get, because they lost the case. And now that they lost this case against Diddy, it actually makes the state look really bad. Like, the feds are known for their conviction rate. So everybody was super scared for Diddy. Matter of fact, even people who were riding with him jumped ship, because they were like, shit, once the feds come for you, it's a wrap. It don't make no sense me continuing to support you. I know you're going down. It's the feds. And then we watched the case. And then it turned into a domestic situation that should have never made it that far up the ladder to a federal level, federal indictment, R.I.C.O, racketeering, human trafficking. All we were seeing for the whole time was an issue between a man and his woman. His woman that he was with for 11 years. And we got to hear what the 11 years of tumultuous roller coaster highs and lows looked like for Cassie and Diddy. And then the last couple of years with him and Jane. All we got from that is he was in 2 toxic relationships with 2 women who entertained it and participated in it. They would hit him, he would hit them, they would fight each other, they would break up, they would go sleep with other people, they would come back together. It said nothing about what the state was trying to prove, and that's why the state, before a jury of 12, lost their case. And now it makes them look like, damn, they were really in for a witch hunt. They had nothing on that man. They were just trying to strip him of his wealth. And they lost. Had Diddy not have the resources to fight, he probably would have ended up in prison. Had he not have the resources to afford a team of lawyers, not 1 lawyer, not 2 lawyers, not 3 lawyers, a bunch of lawyers. Had he not had the money to fight in that manner, he probably would have ended up in prison. You know when a lot of people pretend like they're rich and they have just enough to fake it, but when trouble hits, it's like those dudes who flex on social media and out in the streets. They pop bottles in the club. Their clothes look like every bit of it, every piece of it costs over $1,000. It's Louis this, Louis that, Fendi, Prada, all the expensive names. They drive a nice expensive car or cars, and you think, damn, he must have a lot of money. And then they get in trouble and their bail is set. And $10,000 is all they need to come home, and they can't pay it. Lucky for Diddy, he wasn't one of those fakers. That man been looking rich for years, but he is actually rich. So, of course, it remains to be seen what will occur during the sentencing hearing. September 25th, Diddy's attorneys will be back in the courtroom, and this time they'll be there to ask the judge to give a full acquittal. I don't think that's going to happen. The judge wouldn't even give them bail 3 times. So I don't see him giving an acquittal a week before sentencing. The judge been itching to sentence. So they'll be back in court. Now, for the sentencing part, which is scheduled for October 3rd, a former collaborator of Diddy, Aubrey O'Day, she gave her opinion. Now, remember, Aubrey has been saying for years on social media all types of stuff, right? But when it came time to go to court and put it down, she couldn't do that. Aubrey thinks his lawyers will use the hearing as a stepping stone to rehabilitating the rapper's image. O'Day's thoughts are purely speculative at this point, as the public can only wait to see how both judicial hearings will play out. Diddy just made it known that he wants to work with programs and he want to go around speaking to guys who have been convicted of domestic violence, So, and he also wants to revamp his career. He wants to play Madison State Garden. And I think he's going to do it. And I think he's going to shut Madison Square Garden down. And I think he's going to do it with the only artist who showed up in person to support him in his time of trouble, and that was Kanye West. Kanye West and Sean P. Diddy Combs performing live at Madison Square Garden. That place is going to be packed to the rafters. There's a lot of people who are thinking he can't do it. I don't know why. That guy made his whole career off of people doubting him, and him ended up doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And I think this chapter will be no different. But we'll wait and see. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me if you think that the judge is going to sentence him harshly, or if the judge is going to finally say time served and let him go. Just so you know, the charges that he is about to be sentenced on, they do carry a max of 20 years each, and he's on 2 counts. However, nobody has been ever sentenced that much time on those charges. And according to the law guidance, first-time offenders normally get 3 months in a county jail. Even second-time offenders normally get between 3 to 6 months in the county jail. So what is the judge going to give Diddy? Because he was a first-time offender. Even if he sentenced him like a second-time offender, the times he's been behind bars already has already surpassed how much time he would have served had he been convicted in a normal court of that same charge. With that in mind, leave your comments in the comment section below, and I'll catch you on the next video. It's BrainFLoTv. I'm out. Peace.